The Ahsoka trailer really blew us away, and today we have some more details that have just been released. The mysterious Inquisitor at the end of the trailer has now got a name. His name is Marok. Not to be confused with the character from the Clone Wars, Embo's Anuba companion. And it was always likely this was going to be a new character altogether, not one we've seen before. A lot of fans thought it might be the 8th brother, Barriss Sophie, another Inquisitor we know, but it's not. So what is this guy's relationship to Thrawn, if there is one at all, because we don't see him with Morgan Elsbeth, Baylan and Shin. But Thrawn might have a network of various assassins, unless there is more than one evil force in the show. Now another piece of information that a few of you pointed out is that in the frame with Thrawn, we see a golden stormtrooper in the background, the ones rumoured by making Star Wars. On top of this, in one frame with Baylan we hear Darth Vader breathing after he mentions Anakin. I reckon Darth Vader is going to be a big part of flashbacks in this show, but they're saving that for the series itself. They're not giving anything away in the trailers. And one last tidbit I want to focus on is this astromech droid. The design is based on the 1978 Kenner action figure of R2-D2, but in universe, I wonder if this is one of the first BB unit hybrids. Could this be one of the first prototypes that eventually leads to BB-8? Another very interesting part of the trailer that I didn't notice until watching it a few times is that we're going to a planet that looks a lot like Mapuzo from Obi-Wan Kenobi. Do you remember this planet? This was a mid-rim Galactic Empire controlled planet that was once lush and full of life. We might be much later in the timeline, but this planet was connected to the Path, the hidden Jedi Path. Is that a clue? After rescuing Leia, Obi-Wan was able to escape the planet's Daiyu and hid on a transport that was travelling to Mapuzo. It could just be a coincidence and a planet that we've not seen before, but it does look a lot like Mapuzo, especially as we approach the planet, the way the cinematography is done. Let's wait and see. I can imagine them trying to connect different parts of shows, even though this is much later in the timeline, so why would we go there? I also can't get enough of Baylan and Shin. They're truly awesome, and this trailer for me sold me on their characters. I am so sad that Ray Stevenson's not around to do more of this. He looks like an absolute badass, and even Shin, when she's fighting Sabine and she says, "You have no power." The raw anger and rage, I love it. And they're such interesting characters from the point of view of the Force. At the beginning of the trailer, I think they're escaping a New Republic prison transport, so it does seem as though the government is well aware of them, but they might not understand what they're doing, what their greater purpose is in regards to helping Thrawn. I also find it interesting that they're still part of some kind of order. It's not the Jedi, but they are following a hierarchy because she does have a Padawan braid. She is Baylan's apprentice. For all of my thoughts on the trailer, go and check out the full breakdown I posted last night. And so now, my dear friends, Genevieve O'Reilly as Chancellor Mon Mothma looks amazing in Ahsoka. They gave her a different look to what she's like in Star Wars Andor and Rogue One, and that's normal, we're further down the timeline. Today we have a bit of Mon Mothma news, because Genevieve O'Reilly sat down with DiscussingFilm.net and revealed we're not going to see Mon Mothma too much in this show. She fondly remembers the surprise phone call from Lucasfilm over 10 years later to reprise Mon Mothma and Gareth Edwards' Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. She remembers when they didn't use the scenes that she filmed for Revenge of the Sith. She says she put them to bed. She understood there are many reasons not everything makes it into a film, but she really enjoyed the experience. But when they rang her for Rogue One, she was so surprised. She says, "It was such a beautiful film, and it was so lovely to get to step into her shoes again. It felt like such a lovely full circle." What I never expected though, she says, was for it to come around again. She voiced her in Rebels, and then the massive opportunity to play her again in Andor for Disney+, and now Star Wars Ahsoka. Here is the big juicy quote. She says, "I was really thrilled that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni were interested in me coming for a minute to play with them. They're such brilliant filmmakers. It was just thrilling for me to be able to go over and play with them for a bit. I'm a huge fan of Rosario Dawson. She's brilliant and formidable as a woman and actor." And then she says, "I think what they're doing with that piece is going to be really exciting. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is a wonderful actress too, and I get to work with her, which was so amazing." She says that Ahsoka was very different to the experience on Andor. Quote, "It felt extraordinary for Mon to get the opportunity to enter a different world again, and maybe that's because I'm so invested in Andor. But when John and Dave rang and spoke so passionately about Mon Mothma's character, and made it clear they really wanted her to be in Ahsoka, I felt so humbled that they were inviting me to come and join them. They're brilliant storytellers storytellers and filmmakers at the cutting edge. What they're doing here and how they're using the volume, they film in a very different way to what we did in Andor. That was really exciting and informative for me to go over and learn how they do that, because they're using cutting edge technology to inform the piece. It's a very different way of filming. I was grateful to have the opportunity to be a part of that. And it is true, when you think of Mon Mothma in recent times, you think of Tony Gilroy, not Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. And it's interesting because it brings up the question, are we going to see some more original trilogy characters in this series? After we got confirmation of Lieutenant Beta, Mon Calamari, and I think there are a couple of others in the trailer too, are we going to see Admiral Akbar? Could we see Princess Leia and Han Solo? The New Republic government, especially in Heir to the Empire and Star Wars Legends, was heavily influenced by conversations between Mon, Luke, Han, and Leia, and of course Chewie. Genevieve O'Reilly says it means the world to her that fans embrace Star Wars Andor. It felt like a different piece of work from other Star Wars projects, and she's glad that generally fans absolutely adore that show, and they can't wait for season 2, and guess what? I'm one of them. I'm so excited for Ahsoka, and I can understand why some fans don't understand why I'm so excited for someone like Mon Mothma. Some fans have said she's a small character. I don't think that's true. She had such a big role in what was going on politically at this time, and it shows a really strong comprehension of the source material that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau recognized she needs to be in a show like this. When you're dealing with Hera, when you're dealing with characters that are forming part of this government, Mon Mothma is the figurehead. I remember when Revenge of the Sith came out. I remember the toys, the action figures. I still have a huge collection of them. And I remember asking myself, as a younger, smaller Meg, wait, she wasn't in the film, was she? I don't remember that. Because it turns out Genevieve O'Reilly's scenes, which were awesome by the way, and I've reacted to them before, her scenes were cut. The delegation of the 2000, some of the earliest forms of rebellion with Padme and Bail Organa, some other really fantastic senators, especially this guy with the most badass beard. So when she did voice work in Star Wars Rebels, and then when we saw her in Rogue One, I was over the moon. Because I was always fascinated by Mon Mothma. We really got an idea of how well she could bring the character to screen. And then in Andor Season 1 last year, she sold me on the character 100%. Genevieve did her research when it came to Mon. She was aware of what she'd been through as a character, and Tony Gilroy really encouraged her to live in Mon's head, because Mon Mothma's story from start to finish was one of tragedy. And as Davos Golden told her, many life choices are not in the hands of those in that position. Some things are decided for them, in the context of course of pre-arranged marriage, and it killed Mon inside. She didn't want her daughter going through what she had. And it's excellent we live in a time of Mon Mothma renaissance, because she's not just going to appear in Andor Season 2, but next month she appears in the Ahsoka show. And that to me is so exciting, because this is not the early rebellion, this is not the early fight, this is after the Empire's fallen. This is when Mon's government, the New Republic, along with Leia, Falia, and Admiral Akbar, are in power, and their demise is in the hands of Mon. It's a different part of her life, and she's interacted with Hera and the other members of this show, so I can't wait to see what they do with her in Ahsoka. They want to maximize the lives of our villains, Baylan, Shin, Morgan Elsbeth, as well as our heroes Harrison Jula, Sabine, Ahsoka, and the New Republic stuff, just like in Mando Season 3, is probably going to be sparing, and it's only going to be used at times when we need to see, as the audience member, the political landscape, big decisions, laws that are passed, and threats ignored, as they cut down costs and neglect very early warning signs. And we're also getting Kaz's dad from Star Wars Resistance, so in many ways this show could be the marriage of so many aspects of the Star Wars universe. It could be the ultimate Star Wars show. Force users, Clone Wars flashbacks, Star Wars Rebels characters and illusions, Star Wars Resistance callbacks, original trilogy callbacks. This to me looks really special, and when we got the trailer yesterday, I just knew this is a Star Wars show like no other. This next phase of Disney Plus Star Wars content, I'm telling you guys, is going to be so much better than the first. Fingers crossed. And we're getting a 2-episode premiere, Ahsoka episodes 1 and 2, and that to me makes a lot of sense, because the first episode by all accounts is going to be a recap episode, getting us up to speed, telling us what we need to know, and then episode 2 is really where things ramp up. I am so excited. I don't know how you guys feel. Let me know in the comments down below, and also if you haven't done so already, please be sure to check out my full trailer breakdown that I posted yesterday. There were 2 videos, one breaking down the special featurette where Dave Filoni talks about Anakin, and the second video yesterday was the full trailer breakdown. Check it out. If you enjoyed this video, my dear friends, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you, always.